let's answer some questions here. So with move 8, you can see that it's black's turn. And which one do you think is the best move in this situation?
For move 8. I'm gonna go with A.
A. Okay. This is what was played in the game, so you and Pico have a similar mindset here. But I do not think this is the best one. The reason is because when we have here, we have a group that can be intercepted kind of easy. So white is gonna live, right? White can get cramped, but white should be able to live. White's not gonna have a problem like making a group. But if we play A, and as we see later in the game when white plays this group feels like it doesn't have as steady as a base as like this one. And so now black has to get out and then white makes a base. And so white kind of lives easily on both sides and black doesn't end up getting any points with this group. So the fundamental I took away from, this move is that black should have a base, right? And we should always have a base for our groups. Just like with white here, this isn't a smart move to do, but eventually white does get a base, right? So one of the basic fundamentals, for any player is that we need to have a base. Do you see why this interception can be like pretty uncomfortable for black?
Yeah, I saw it the minute you actually threw the stone down.
Yeah, yeah.
It's one of those. It's one of those. You know, it's bad. Like the minute you see it happen.
Right, right. So there's just a weakness. Now, some people don't mind this weakness, but I will say that, for me, on a personal level, I would feel like I'm not accomplishing too much. I'm not using my stones correctly. So whereas I like this move, so white approached and then black played here. Um, Once white made a base, now we need to make a base. That makes sense?
Yeah, I can understand that.
All right. So now we'll go to let me ask Pico. I know this is your game. Let me ask which move is the worst out of these three options?
The worst.
And why is it the worst?
Well, I think they all sort of suck. Because either way, I think, you know what? I'm gonna say that B is the worst because like you can't really extend along that line because there's that stone at C14 in the way. So it's kind of a silly move. I would Hane on either side before I went with B.
Okay. So B is your choice? Alright.
Mhm.
So in the game you played A. Let me ask Marty, because Marty takes lots of lessons with me. Marty, why is this move bad?
Because it is an already broken or can be broken knight's move.
Yeah, so what happens is, Pico, when you play these knights moves that can be broken, you become weak on both sides. And so I would argue this is the worst move. But let's look at these moves so you can see why as well. But yeah, Marty knows I always talk about the broken knight move, right? I call it the Romeo Juliet split, right? Two star-crossed lovers, they'll never be together again. But yeah, so let's see B. So you are correct, you would get stopped here. But what you can do is create a ko here. And if you win this ko, then you'll be able to live in this corner. So let's say, you poke and then you get to take back and then white does something stupid and then you play here. You can see now that black is alive in this corner. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is actually a move that can be accomplished, but it's not the best move in my opinion. The best one, you're gonna see this jump in the corner a lot. So being aware of this is a good good, I guess, Joseki you could think of, a pattern. But this is one of the best moves because white has to separate black. I mean, technically he doesn't have to. White could play here. But if white does separate black, white has to keep black separated. And then once you play here, you have a living group. This is just alive, guaranteed. We can see that even if white tries to make some type of ko or something, it actually doesn't work because it's a double Atari here. So then if he connects, it would be a problem. If he doesn't, you have two eyes. So the main fundamental I wanted to get out of this problem is that we don't want to make moves that can be split in one turn. This is very, very bad. And all double-digit Q players, start by making these moves. You see whites like moving forward, and then you try and stop them. But this is very wrong. Do you see why?
Yeah, I see why. I don't do that anymore.
Yeah, so if white was to split you here, white would get a really good position and be able to either kill all this or would be able to kill all this. So white ended up playing here in the game, but white could have been more devastating by keeping you cut and apart. All right, I'll move on to the next question, and I will ask Marty. Marty, we got A, B, and C for black. What would you play here? What do you think the best move would be? Oh, actually, what do you think the worst move would be and why?
Well, the worst move is B again.
Okay, all right.
And I would probably think that C is right, even though you're pushing from behind.
Okay.
If you go down in A, then white will play C. And where are you?
Yeah, for sure. C definitely looks good. And B, this is the question on why, right? So Pico, I saw you do it twice in this game, and like I said, I saw it and I was like, this is a very good lesson to teach you specifically. The reason is because this is a broken knight move again, right? It's kind of like if it was black's turn and you would ask where should black play next, right? I think you would know that you'd want to break apart your opponent and create lots of weaknesses. So this is that same thing, right? You gave white a problem, and the answer is very easy to find, which is to break your opponent apart. So yeah, yep, that's it. That's really where I really wanted to show. So lastly, we have this. Terry, I'm gonna ask you this one. White played here. What do you think the best answer would be for black?
Well, it's definitely not A, I don't think. And I'm not sure that C actually works because white can just play down to B. So I'm thinking B.
Okay, nice. Yeah, B is the correct answer. In the game, Pico, you played A. And once again, we have the broken knight shape. So this is like the third time actually in your game where we see this. And so to me, this was a very good game to learn a lesson from. So some things that I always teach is what I call the golden rule of attachment. Essentially, white touched your stone, and now you only have 3 liberties. But also, white only has 3 liberties. So if you have the next move, then you have the advantage. So normally when somebody touches your stone, you don't want to play away. You don't want to play anywhere else, right? You want to react to his touch, which took a liberty from you. So the first thing I always say is to find the counterattack, right? If you can counterattack and you have the advantage, now white only has 2 liberties and you still have 3, then you should counterattack. If white had more stones around and the counterattack would just get cut and you'd get killed, then the next step would be to extend or make yourself stronger. because if you counterattack, you'll get punished. So that would be the next step. The third step is to Tanuki. If you don't care if this dies, then you can Tanuki and take advantage somewhere else. But this is another really good fundamental rule that is going to happen all the time. I wish Adam was here because he actually falls prey to this golden rule of attachment as well. But yeah, so Pico, I just want you to understand that when somebody touches your stone, you usually want to counterattack them and make them weaker. And we could see some variations. So if white was to try something like this, you could Atari and then fix yourself. And even though white can kill your stone, you can end up connecting under, which would then allow you to keep most of your territory and keep your connection. So, and if white does anything else, then you can always have your connection, right? So the idea is that. And lastly, if they kind of cross counter, right? If they make a cross cut, you kind of have the advantage here because you have the extra stones around. So I would find the weakest stone first, which would be this one because it's closest to the wall, and then I would extend it. And then depending on what white does, you'll be able to extend and strengthen this stone. And so, if white makes a base or something, you could easily just get a kill here. And so this group would be fine. But this one, we want to really avoid moves that get split with one move. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'll move on. Joe, you're up. Let's see. Move 8. We have white attached. Black followed the golden rule of attachment, right? He's capable of counterattacking, so he did. And now we have black's next move.
I'm thinking. I'd say C.
C. Okay, why C compared to A and B?
I know. I mean, if white tries to cut at 03, you can just play B after that and then fix. C allows you to actually get into the corner. It looks like you're kind of making the exchange here. You're getting some of the corner territory. They're getting some of the corner territory.
Okay. Yeah. C, excuse me, is definitely the right answer. And one of the main reasons why is because it's breaking the tiger's mouth. This is a very basic fundamental that we all want to try and work on, is breaking our opponent's tiger's mouth. If we play A, which Adam played in the game, white not only makes a tiger's mouth, but now takes Sente, because this stone has been touched, right? And so now it only has 2 liberties. And if black plays away, then it will get killed, right? So that's not good. So technically black should answer, right, in some fashion, which he does. But now white ends up taking Sente, right? Now for me, I would probably play one more time, not to get hit on the head of 2 stones here. But regardless, white now has Sente and has really good shape. So breaking this shape is very important. You can see this is like a very normal Joseki. Essentially you make a group, you ruin white's shape a little bit, and then you make a base, right? And so we always want to make a base with our groups. Some modern styles would be something like this, but I just wanted to show the basics because this is wrong, because it allows white to get good shape, take Sente. It's just not correct. Also, when we look, you're just kind of behind too, so he's like running from behind, which isn't correct also. So yeah, breaking the tiger's mouth, that's the key. Let's go to move 14. So now we have here, I'm going to ask Pico, actually, this one. So black played the diagonal and white played here. So what would be the next best move, you think?
For black,
Yep. Black.
I would say A.
Okay.
I'm not totally sure what black's trying to do here because, like, I don't know. The shape is confusing because it's like, are you trying to keep white out of the corner?
Okay. Yeah, so once white plays here and black plays here, black has many options. Whether white plays here or Tanukis or anything like that, we can see that black can push down white. So this is nice because it helps create a wall. Black could also push to take the corner and take a big corner. So this is the goal of this Shusaku diagonal. But when it comes to this, so in the game, black plays A. But to me, this is wrong. So do you remember what I told you about when somebody touches your stone?
Yeah, I guess he should have played B.
Yeah, it's the golden rule of attachment, right? White is trying to hurt the stone here by touching it. So we actually, since we get the next move, it actually hurts white more than it hurts black. So let's talk about A really quick so you can see. A does okay. It has its weaknesses, but to be fair, black is still in the lead here. So it's not the worst move. But let's take a look at if we follow the golden rule of attachment. So if black plays here and white just submits, already I think this is a great exchange for black because white really isn't making that much in comparison to what black can make, right? If black has this big influence, then you can see that black can just generally make more. This is very solid. This is affecting like lots of the board, and this white wall isn't affecting as much of the board. So already this is a good exchange. But maybe you're afraid of this cut, as most people are. But once we get to this cut, you can see that black has quite a lot of forcing moves. So one, we created a Romeo Juliet split, not a Broken Knights move, but still two stones that aren't going to be able to connect again. And then once we make these exchanges, you can see that black is getting quite a huge corner, and white is getting some of the center. But the center is much harder to manage than the corner, so I would be much more happy to take solid points than have, questionable points. So in this case, you could see that if white cuts here, it would be pretty advantageous for black. Even if white was to decide to try and take this side, actually, white can't, right? Because there's too many weaknesses here. So it's actually just kind of the same result. If white was to play something like this, well, now you could, honestly, just looking at this, A is split, B is split, and C is split. So white has 3 problems, and black has really none. So it would be bad. So my point is the golden rule of attachment almost always applies. And in this case, B would be more successful than A. All right. I'll move on to the next one. Did anybody have any questions on that one? You can see how advantageous it is to take the advantage, right, of like counterattacking your opponent when they touch you. All right, I'll move on to the next. Marty, what do we got?
Smooth.
Yeah, it looks like white attached. So once again, we're looking at the golden rule.
A.
A. Okay. Why A compared to B or C?
Well, A looks like it's going to make more space. I mean, you have something in the upper left-hand corner. So this is helping you.
Okay.
If you go the other way to B, white could Hane down, and that would be annoying, I guess.
Yep. Yeah. So you kind of know this dancing Hane technique, and so yeah, maybe you didn't take the time to read it, but if you did, I don't know if you did or not, but if you did, you can see this ladder works for both sides, right? So if black gets pushed this way, it's good for white. If black gets pushed this way, it's good for white. So yeah, this dancing Hane move is a beautiful technique. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can see that black has many weaknesses. So if black fixes one, then black loses the other. If black fixes this one, then black loses the other. And so this is what this dancing Hane is, this attachment. This Hane plus Hane. And then, it leads to a whole bunch of stuff. But anyway, yes, so I didn't think this was the right direction because black really can't make anything here, right? So I wasn't sure what the point was of black honeying on this side. You're right, I would have much preferred this one because you can see that it's building this area. And this one just, is not right either. So when white attached, we use the golden rule of attachment rules. First, we look for the counterattack. We try and find the most beneficial one. And if the counterattack wasn't going to work, then we would extend. But in this case, it's fine. So this was really nice. So now we're at the last question. Terry, I'll ask you. What is the worst move out of A, B, and C?
I think C is the worst move because it creates cuts that are not going to mean anything.
That's definitely one way to look at it, right? There's cuts, and unfortunately in this department, you wouldn't be able to take advantage of either. So that is one way to definitely look at it. The other thing that you want to think about is after you create these cuts, you lost a liberty, right? So it's never good to purposely lose a liberty for no benefit. So so what happened in the game was once black lost this liberty, this became a big problem. And when he didn't see it, Atari, and then Crane's Nest, and then all these stones are dead. So it's because he lost the liberty. Now if we look at it, if white black had that liberty and white tried to do the same thing, we can see that black's not an Atari, so black can extend, and then when black does get Atari'd, he's not going to die, right? He's safe. So having your liberties, keeping your liberties and not giving them away is a very good skill to have. And unfortunately, Adam missed it. He saw, a way to try and split, but in the process, he was weak. And these cuts don't mean much. When black tries to cut here, white is most likely going to be okay. In fact, white can just enact this now and then kill black, right? All right. So that was probably the hardest of these questions. For Adam, I don't know if you'll see this. Who knows when I'll upload it. But for Adam, one thing that I noticed he did a lot was not using his shape points correctly. So breaking the tiger's mouth is really good here. But instead he lost Sente here. And then for this one, he didn't use the golden rule of attachment. So he got a result that's okay, but it's not as good as what it could have been. Because now we see, black did get a corner, but white also got a lot of thickness, which white can use. So in the other exchanges, we could see that white still gets some thickness, but it's not as good. And if white is too greedy, then white's really not going to get any useful thickness. The thickness he does get is in the center that, may or may not come to fruit, right? Like, if black makes a group that's influential this way, then they're going to be competing. So there's not that many points in the middle. But anyway. And lastly, the same thing happened here. So black should break this, or come over here, or try this. These are the more modern ways. This one and this one. This is the traditional way. But yeah. All right, I'll move on. Let's move. So this was Chip and Jory. I think Joe, you're up next. This question, I don't know. I'll ask you. What do you think the best move is for white? So we see that
okay.
black was able to escape the corner, and white was pushed around, but white did get some nice
that's a good top section.
Yeah. So now it's white's turn, and we want to figure out which one of these moves would be the best.
Okay. A's too small. I don't know about B. B cut. This will be a bit of a guess, but I want to say C.
C. Okay, why C?
So I think the invasion of A is too small to really worry about right now. And with B, you never really hear the phrase "Conning at the head of 4 stones." So I don't think you need to start moving that group out into the middle just yet. But moving the group in the bottom left out into the middle, I don't think that would hurt that much. I think you just it's kind of like an opportunity to just kind of ignore what happened up top.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about these. I'll start with C. C is not my choice. It's not my. I don't think it's the best move, and I'll explain why. So when I look at C, C doesn't really feel like it's gaining too much, and it looks to me like very floaty. It's not putting pressure on black in any way, and it's not really gaining too many points. So I don't really like C as much. B on the, well, let's start with A, because I think B might be the best move, but A is actually a very well-known move in this situation, where black has a wall, and then black has like this 3-space extension. This is a very, very well-known move that was taught. I learned from like the Korean TV. But yeah, so if your goal was to break up this area and gain more territory, A might be your choice. So I'll just show you a very small example. So black attaches. Golden rule of attachment. We either want to counterattack or extend. In this case, if we counterattack, we're just going to get cut apart. So it's not good. So instead, we extend and break the tiger's mouth. If black plays this way, then we can play here, and then we can clamp. And if black tries to come down here, black's actually going to get killed. It's going to be very difficult for black to kill these white stones. So black ends up dying, and white takes a lot of territory and has broken up a lot of black's territory. So this is a very well-known invasion here. The other way it could go is if black plays here, then you can play something like this, and you can see that white can make 2 eyes, or connect under, or try to connect under, I should say, or white would be able to jump out. And so white has all these options where now black is completely broken. So you can try this when you see this formation, which you actually see a lot, especially in Chip and Jory's game. You get this formation quite a bit. So that's why I really wanted to teach this. But finally, to give you the last option, I actually like B the most. And one of the reasons is because white has a really big area here. And if we were to play something like this, and black plays something like this, you can see very quickly that white's area is starting to get stunted. It's starting to get pushed in. Even if it plays like this, you can see white's growth just isn't going very well. And so white has gotten some points, but black is starting to get a lot by making a huge wall here. So in this part of the game, right now you have what we call a running battle. Both players are trying to get in front of each other. So in this case, I think if it was to go like this, you could see that white is now pushing on black and is now gaining more points. Now technically, well, white not might not be able to keep everything, but just pushing black down and getting into the lead is helping white grow and black shrink. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can understand that.
And in this case, because white has so much strength, white can do the double Hane Tetsuji, which you could see would even be better for white. And if black was to turn now, white has already pushed a lot and has enough, and so now I'd play something like this. And then we would go on and see what happens depending on if black plays here or here. So yeah. That's it. So for this fundamental, keeping the race, staying ahead in the running race or the running battle is more important, I think, in this area. For this one, this move to me just doesn't look like it's doing as much. Not a lot of pressure, not a lot of points. And I did want to show you guys this one because this is a very famous move. It's very well known. So you guys can try it. There's many different outcomes that can happen with this move, but this is the most common one I see. All right, I'll move on. Next question. Pico. We have black has pushed into this area, so now white has 3 options to try and plug this hole: A, B, and C. Which one do you think you would play in this situation?
I think I would play A.
A. Okay. Why A over B or C?
Well, they're both like the other two are like I think in my opinion okay, but in terms of like shape, like if you play A, you basically almost kind of sort of have an eye there already, and it's like, well, now black's really only choice is to like play at C or like extend at C or like try and kind of like poke in at B, but they'll get cut off. And I don't know. I think it's just the best move.
Okay. All right. So A creates the infamous empty triangle. Have you heard of this shape?
Oh yeah.
Yep. So in the game, this is what happened, and black was able to push and push, and now this actually is a false eye. So you mentioned that it creates an eye, but this is a false eye because black's on both sides. So if black was to able to surround white, you could see that white has to fill in, right? And so this isn't a real eye, it's a false eye. So what I always try and tell my students is if you have the idea of playing an empty triangle, you should try and look at the one jump first. Because this shape is just infamously bad. Sometimes it's good. If you're cutting an opponent, you would want to make this type of shape. But for the most part, it's just inefficient. So we saw what happened in the game. So white lost a point here, and black got some pretty good shape. But let's see if we try this move. So if black pushes, well, now white has a perfect block. If black pushes again, white has a perfect block. And white, I believe, gets an extra point out of this. So just being fully connected without having any weaknesses is nice. Now, you might ask about this cutting point, but black is dead. White has 4 liberties versus black's 3. So black is gonna get killed here. And then finally this one. This one's okay. It leads to another empty triangle though, and it has 2 cutting points. These cutting points might not amount to anything, but it always feels a little uncomfortable, and the shape just doesn't look as pretty. So it's like very clear to me that like it feels like you're losing a point or two. Whereas this one, you get this extra point. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, try and keep the shape in mind, that the shape is generally bad, and that if you feel like you should make the shape, look at the one jump away from it and see if it works out to be better. I'd say like 9 times out of 10, the one jump is better than this empty triangle extension.
Yeah, I think if I had taken a moment to actually visualize it, I would have noticed that because I usually do avoid that in my games.
Yeah, there's few times where it is good. It usually works when you're like cutting something. So I don't want to tell you it's always bad, but like if black had something like this, and then you created the empty triangle to open up this cut, that could be something. But I'd really have to see a situation to really point it out to you. All right, I'll move on to the last one. I think Marty, right? Might be Marty, it might be Terry, but I'll ask Marty this one. Marty, we got A, B, and C. So it's White's turn. We see that White did this little poke and invasion, and now, it's up to White to figure out the next move. What do you think?
This is harder, Michael.
If you want to pass it to Terry, you can.
No, I'll give it a whirl. Then Terry can tell me what's wrong. If you go B, of course, they have to answer, and then you can go down. So that's forcing and forcing. Although no, it's White. I lied. So otherwise, White is going to get pushed around. So B has some appeal. If you look at A, well, A would take away some points from black. I'm going to reject C out of hand.
Okay.
I don't know what that does. So I guess I like B because it's where your opponent would like to move.
Yeah, yes, that's completely correct. So, this goes into a few things. One principle is the golden rule of attachment, right? You played all these moves, and black is still touching you, and you can still progress. So, technically, you should then extend, right? You're not going to counterattack, because this would just be really bad, right? This wouldn't be good for you. I think I'm almost positive you'd get killed. I wouldn't push with 4, I'd just keep my liberty. But anyway, but when you play B, if black keeps going, then obviously this is just good for White, right? This looks bad for black, if you ask me, because White's likely breaking all these points. So normally black will net this, but when he does, you have 2 liberties, 3 liberties, and so you don't have to answer anymore. Now you can take your cake and eat it too, right? So you can get both. In the game, this is what White played, and then later on, I'm assuming, yeah. So black was able to get this move and then even kill it, and it made it even worse. So, but my other point, other than the golden rule of attachment, is that if you play somewhere else, it only takes black 1 move, and then you should answer, right? Because this is a lot of points. And so it's like a anti-sente move, right? Like this isn't sente, but it's preventing black from taking sente, right? Because if black gets this, and White has to answer, and White has to answer, well, now black has sente. And then you got pushed around. So by playing this, you have so many liberties. And black's only way to stop you is this. Then you have essentially made it harder for black. You took away more points from black, and you get Sente. It's these type of moves that we want to really find and utilize. These moves where we take Sente from our opponent and stay alive. But yeah, if I can boil it down to one little saying, it's don't leave a move that can just get killed so easily, right? Like this is much harder to kill than just leaving it. So I guess that's all I can say about it. Any questions on this, Marty? Looks good.
No, look good.
Yeah, I think you had a grasp on it. So, all right, I'll move on. Now I think it's Terry's turn. Terry, we got A, B, and C. This is a Marty game.
Okay.
So
Let's see.
what we see here is that Marty's getting split here. So what should Marty do?
I'm thinking that Marty needs to live. Let's see. If he plays C, he's going to get cut at B, and if he plays B, he's going to get cut at C. But I guess I'm having a hard time seeing how C or B actually helps. But then A doesn't look like it's got a lot of life potential. So this is tough because there's got to be something here I'm not seeing. I guess I'm going to go with A because I'm having a hard time seeing how B or C helps.
Okay. I realize from this problem that I'm taking granted of my rank here, because to me my eyes are all like there's no other choice. Let me just ask. So A, I wouldn't say is the correct answer here. I'm just curious if anybody else other than Marty could find the answer. Joe or Pico, do you have any input?
I think it's C because, like, I mean, yeah, it leaves like that cutting point there, but also you can connect up to the group above, and I think it looks better than B.
Okay. What about
I can agree that B is play B, C, and then maybe drop. You can't really cut just yet. So it might be C, and you'll keep the two white groups separated as well.
Okay. All right. Let's show the answer. So yeah, I'm definitely like for me, my eyes only go on B. And let me explain why. So in the game, Marty did play C, and this is the perfect example of when an empty triangle can be good. Remember how I said you want to use it to cut things? This is the time. It's a perfect cut. Very well done for white here. And it was a good example showing the empty triangle. So C is incorrect. B is correct, and I can show you why. First of all, it's creating the Broken Knights move, and it's also creating, what I call the Romeo-Juliet split, same thing. If white plays here, now white has 2 cutting points. And so when we cut here, what can white do? Is white gonna Atari down here? If so, then once again, what is white gonna do? Is white gonna play this one? If he does, white can't stop black from keeping these groups cut. And these stones are much weaker than black stones. So we can see that, as long as black is able to run away, white is just gonna die. And so black is perfectly fine. Also, black gets this free cut, and then black can kill. So this becomes a problem. This is dead. And then this one probably is going to die, but you can let it go and just give up the 3 stones and then come back to kill this group. So what we need, what my eyes see here, just very clearly right away, is that I can cut my opponent and then I can cut my opponent. And so both times I can just cut and then kill, right? So my eyes are drawn instantly to creating weaknesses in my opponent's shape and then trying to kill them. This wouldn't work. I think white would be able to get away, and this would be a problem. But this cut does. And same with this, right? Like white's always gonna have to come back for its weakness, but then this is a ladder, so black is just alive. You guys see how this cut creates like so many weaknesses?
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, but I never would have seen the N3 move.
Okay. So to help you find these moves, one is always to continue doing problems, and I know Terry, you do a lot of them. But the other way, yeah, honestly, I just think it's like the ability to read, right? Because you have to read at least 5 to 6 to 7 moves, which is very hard for double-digit Q players. But you'll get it from doing problems and practicing. So unfortunately, I guess all I can say is you'd have to be able to read at least 7 moves to find this answer. But my advice then is to always just try and read as far as you can. And try and develop the habits of doing so. Because if you don't read, you won't be able to find this answer, and then you would be in a lot of trouble. Which happened in the game, right, Marty?
Yes,
But
I guess I'll take some comfort from the fact that none of my classmates could get it either.
yeah. So Marty was able to live here, but you can see that black got separated, and so this, is not a good position, right? White got some influence this way, white got some influence this way, and then black got in trouble here. But yeah, I wish, like I said, I could give you guys my eyes, right? Because like there's just no other answer to me. Just push in, break up this diagonal, and if white connects, obviously, then you get to connect. But if white doesn't connect, then there's 2 cutting points, and I know I can look for a weakness to find. So yeah, I definitely concede. Sometimes I take for granted my my eyes, I guess. All right. So I know it's your turn, Joe, but yeah, okay. I'll ask you, Joe. What are you thinking? A or B? What do you think the best direction is for black?
I want to say B.
B. Okay, why B over A?
No reason to let white link up the invading stone with the other stone.
Okay.
And you're gonna make a wall to nothing.
All right. So let's see. If we do B, I'm sure most of us know this common Joseki, right? We attach under, we then jump, and now we see that black. Well, first of all, now we see that white got a good 10-point corner, and has more room to develop. Right, white has more space he can go and like try and develop. Black, on the other hand, to me looks very small. This area looks very tiny to me. And black's not going to be able to make too many points. There is some stuff that black could do by taking this shape. So maybe this isn't the worst case scenario. But if it was me, I would actually pick this one. So once we do, let's even just go the traditional way. Black's groups are linked up. They're still doing their job of breaking up this area, so black still later on, if white breaks this, black still later on has this option to attack this. But if white protects himself or does any move like this, we can advance with this type of move. And most traditionally, this is very like old school, this move here. Black could even play this. But nowadays I would think that white would play this one, which is much more modern. But when we look at it this way, black still gets to link up to his stones, and then black can push for the larger size. So black ends up getting a double wing here in this situation. In the other situation, if white gets to play the first move here, black can still push this white group and then make it very small. And black can build a really nice area up top here. So even though white can invade this larger area, black is able to use its thickness to create a better moyo on the other side. So my point here, Joe, is that when I look at these two, I look at A and think that yes, this is much wider, but it's also more potential of territory. When I look at B, this looks very, very small to me. And once white takes this potential away from me, I like feel bad, right? I feel like white's actually gaining more than black. Do you see the difference between A and B here?
Yeah, I can see how the lower left gets smaller.
Yeah, and so
For black, I can see that.
yeah, so I feel like black has more potential on this side. And so this is the side I would want to take. My only recourse that I would enjoy this is next I'd be able to attack this. Because this makes a false eye, right? This is the false eye. And so if he has to connect or play one of these moves, then white doesn't have two eyes down here. This is only a one eye section. And so, if I can attack this, then this stone will help. So that's my only
that's how you would make that direction work.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, exactly. But for preference, I'd probably play this one to try and take the wider side. So I guess either way, to be honest, as long as you find the correct way to use it, you could use either. Alright, I'll move on to the next one. Pico, you're up. We got black's move. So white invaded. And then it's black's turn. So now we have A, B, and C. What do you think the best move would be here?
You know what? I want to say like, ooh, actually, I was gonna say like B or even A, but now I'm like, maybe playing again over at C is a better option. I think I'm still gonna go with B, just because I will be wrong and learn something.
All right. So B or A is more correct than C.
Oh.
So in the game, Marty didn't want white to, get out of the corner, which is a very normal thing, right? We want to seal in our opponents. We don't want them to be able to break out so easily. But when black plays C here, I'm gonna take away these markers. You can see that is black gonna make a lot of points in this area?
No, because white can just like extend some more and take that whole side, and it's small, but then black just has the center.
Yeah, so exactly. White can take a little bit more from black here. And then white can now play something like this or this or this. And so what we see here is there's not much value here. And if black can't stop white, right? If black can't get in front of white to seal white, and then white takes the next move, we can see that the area that this wall was building becomes useless, right? Because it's not going to make many points. And so the direction, in my opinion, dictates that black should stop white from going forward here, and then black will be able to potentially make some points over here. This is much bigger than what black could make on this side. So let me put in another perspective. So if white now plays this and black gets the seal, who got, the more out of this, right? The seal or this, right?
White decisively.
Yeah, white. White has gotten not only more points, but has broken more points, right? Black had a big potential, and it was broken. So that value doubles these moves, right? It's not just the 12 points that white is achieving here. It's also the 20 or 30 points that black could have gotten here. So this move is wrong. So instead, this is the time to not follow the golden rule of attachment, right? We have to look at the board globally and ask ourselves, if I Tanuki, one, I don't even lose this stone. So technically, you're not even losing the stone, but you're gaining more by Tanukiing, and that's the point. So that's really it for this one.
Michael, can I ask a question? And I have to say, I have to leave after this. What is the Joseki in the upper left-hand corner? I mean,
This one?
at this point.
So everything you did was correct up to here. This was
okay,
wrong.
And that's not Joseki.
Yes, this isn't Joseki. Yeah.
So is Joseki Tanuki?
Yes. Even if none of these stones were here, usually you'd want to Tanuki and focus on this side. The reason is because, as we saw, you can never seal in white in Sente. And so you're always going to come out with Gote, and then white's always going to be able to make the first move here, which then spoils this wall, right? If white lives here, then this wall isn't doing much, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so when, this is more of a modern realization because of the computer, but yeah, nowadays after black pushes on here, black either plays this or black will Tanuki over here somewhere. And that's the Joseki in this part of the board. All right, Marty, I know you gotta go. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.
Take it easy.
Bye.
All right. So who's next? Who wants to go next? I forgot the order now.
I didn't know there was an order.
Terry, you up?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, let's do it. We'll have you do answer next.
All right. Let's see. It's white's move, and I have to say that K3 looks like a good move to me because the Shamari is facing the other stone, and it's certainly invadable, and placing a stone at K3 builds that side. However, then all of white's stones are on the same side of the board. The thing I don't like about C is that it's the wrong direction to build from white stones. It is the right direction to build from black stones. And B, I don't know. I have a hard time with black's position in the upper left. I really don't know how to deal with it. I know that B is a way to approach it. I guess white can get either A or C. So maybe it's time to try to do something about black and play B. So I guess I'm going with B.
Good.
I would play B just because it's the larger side.
Yeah. So your explanation was perfect. I mean, you really understand Yulin Yang's rules of opening theory, right?
Oh, I do.
And so yes, so A, yes, is the nice developable side, right, for the Shamari and for this star point. But as you said, it's only white's only focusing on one side of the board, and so to me, this is very two-dimensional. Allowing black to get the next move here then creates what black's three-dimensional moyo, which is much more bigger than a one-sided moyo, right? So like if white was to answer like this and then black was to get this, I'm sure you can see that black is developing much faster than white. This is very, very bad for white. So yes, this is not correct. This is what Chip did in the game. And I really want you guys to understand. I coined this phrase, three-dimensional opening. And the idea is that, you want to make yourself three-dimensional and not 2D, right? Not flat. So this move is perfect because it's helping you expand this side, and it's helping you to expand your moyo in a three-dimensional way. The other thing you mentioned is that yes, black wants to develop this side, but white doesn't want to develop this side. This isn't the most efficient way for white to develop. So that is the reason why I would like this move over this one, because this move, both players want to develop. Black really, really wants this extension because it works so well with these two stones on the top here. This is a very nice extension. So yeah, this was the perfect question for you, and you explained it very, very well. All right, I'm gonna move on to next. Joe, you're up. Let's see, A, B, or C.
For the worst move?
Yeah, we're looking for the worst move and why.
Okay, so he's fine. A is not gonna get cut. Oh, wait, no. A, play A. C. A.
A is the
A
worst.
This is for black playing. Sorry.
Yep. So we got A, B, or C.
Oh, yeah. I would still say A is the worst move.
Oh, okay. Why is this worse than B or C?
Doesn't it kind of put you on track to get sealed in? Because you could play C and you wouldn't be cut off just yet. That's what I'm thinking. It's just a way for black to kind of get out.
Okay. All right. Let's.
They can play C to get out, and then if they need room to live, they can just play B.
All right. Let's explore each of these. So, A is actually the traditional way we used to play. This is how we played, in the 1900s up to 2016. So what happened was there was approach, then a pincer, and then he jumped in the corner, and we see this jump in the corner all the time. So A used to be correct, and the reason being is because A has 1-2 ways to get out, and also it protects this cut. If white comes down here, then it's protected, right? This cut is very well protected. You might ask, like, how can black get out this way? Well, if white was to counterattack, golden rule of attachment, right? Counterattack, black can cross cut, and if white Ataris, then black can Atari. And does white take? If white does, then black can get out like this. Or it could be a ko, but this would be a good ko for black, as you can see.
Mm-hmm.
And what other answers are there here? Let's see. White was to play something like this. You could push to come out this way, and then you could kill. If white escapes, there's a bunch of cutting points here, so we could play something like this. It gets very complicated, as you can tell, but black has most of the advantage in this fight because black's already alive in this corner. So this is a problem for white, and this is a problem for white. The point is that black can escape by doing this attachment, and so you can clearly see that black's gonna live here. The other way is if white, I don't know, played down here or something, then black could escape this way. Because this cut is safe, you know, you can see black can get out in this manner.
Yep.
So this was the traditional way we used to play. Not bad. The more modern way is this one now, where we threaten to come under. White will usually block us, and then we push and push, and then if white makes a mistake, then black can just tanuki. If white attacks, then black can play this, and you can see black lived here, but white got a nice seal on black. The only thing is black has an underskirt jump. But yeah, so this would be the most modern way. This is what the computer showed us that we could do. And then finally, we can look at this one. So this one can be cut. So when we push through, there's 2 cutting points, which we've seen a couple of times in these problems.
That turns into it kind of looks like that AI Joseki where you get to keep your corner and you give someone a Panuki.
Yeah, white can choose either of these moves, and both of them work out for white. So if we play this way, and white was to capture the stone, well then white gets a full corner and has a wall facing his stone, which is good for white. Black also gets a Panuki, so maybe you could say this is somewhat even, but I would feel better as white for taking a full corner, and then white still has a nice stone here. This stone is kind of hard to capture. White can still do quite a lot with it. White might even just choose to give it up and play something like this, and you could see that white can still come out with like a ko, and like if white lives here, this would be bad for black, right? Because white got a huge amount of points and then can live here. So there's a bunch of potential here. The other way is if black plays this way and white plays this. Now you can see that A and B are split. So both A is very weak, right? And white is fairly strong and has a lot of ways to go. It has 2 ways to go, either up or over. And B also is pretty weak because if, you know, let's say, you know, after all these exchanges or whatever, black tanukis or something. Well, now just by playing this, we now create the bulky 5 shape, which can kill this corner. So both groups are in danger, and this is very good for white. So leaving 2 cutting points is usually a bad idea, and allowing your opponent to poke through so easily is not good. So with B, you might say, oh, you can still poke through. But when you have 3 stones, these don't work anymore.
Yeah, that push and cut isn't going to work with 3 stones.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Black is going to be able to kill. And so both A and B actually protect this cut, where C opens this cut up to be a problem. So that's really it. That's it. In the game, Marty picked this move, and so it became a little ugly. The only thing is that Chip missed the opportunity, and so like Chip needed to play either here or here. One of these would have worked, but he ended up playing this clamp, which allowed black to fix itself, and black should have played here. Black ended up playing here, and that messed up the whole thing. But anyway, we'll move on to the next question. This one's actually really hard. It's Pico's turn. We got A, B, and C. What do you think black should do?
Okay, well...
Or actually, yeah, what do you think the worst move is first? And then tell me what the best move is.
Ooh, they're all interesting moves. I would say, like, C might be the worst move because it kind of... It kind of makes it, it's one of those like knight's moves, and I think it can be cut in this situation.
Okay.
Because like the triangle shape it wants to make is already broken. And it doesn't really effectively prevent white from like I think what it's trying to do is prevent white from connecting with that top group, but that's a weak group anyway, and white probably wants to connect like more with like the bottom groups that it's got, which are nice and strong. And then like I think the best move is B. I mean A would be okay too. But B kind of says, well, let me see. Well, I think it would, yeah, I could poke through at A, but I don't think it would matter too much because you've got 3 stones on one side and then like the cutting point. I don't know. I would say that B is the best move.
Okay. All right, let's look through them. So B is the worst move. And the reason being is because the same problem that keeps popping up almost in all these games is that it creates 2 cutting points. So I know you said that, you know, black has a lot of strength here, right? And so you didn't think these cutting points mattered. But when we look actually at this is a false eye. So this group really only has 1 eye. And so it's actually in a lot amount of danger. So if white cuts here and black, I don't know, let's say black, you know, just make sure that black lives on this side. Now when white plays something like this, you can kind of see that these stones are starting to get in trouble, right?
Yeah.
And so this is a very difficult situation. So having these 2 cutting points is actually very scary. And so if you defend this area, right, then it's very clear that black's in a lot of trouble on this side. So these allowing yourself to make a move that you get split is usually not the right answer, right? We don't want to allow ourselves to get split apart. Now, with C, normally C would be correct. Terry, if you were guessing, would you think that this would be the best move?
Terry? Oh, no, did...
Terry, you're muted.
Maybe she stepped away.
No, I'm here. Let's see. I was having a real hard time deciding. I was actually looking more at A.
Okay, yeah, A is the correct answer. C, in this case, to me, looks like the normal shape move, though. So I tried really hard to look and see. And the danger is still here, right? There's still 2 cutting points. And if black tries to try and capture this stone, if black just goes like this, yes, he can capture it, but this would still be good for white, right? Because the danger is still on this side. So if black tries to capture it by gaining more strength, right? Because if we capture this way, here's the cutting point, and black has to answer. But if we play this way, if white plays here, technically we don't have to answer. Black is just a little more stronger. So that's why I was looking at this. But anyway, even if black tries to capture this way, we can see white can actually escape. And so now this becomes in danger, this is a little in danger, and this is a little in danger, as long as white can make sure it lives. And so it's a very hard read. But this knight's move just doesn't work. So my recommendation in the game for Marty was this one. We can see that, yes, there's still a cutting point here, but when black cuts through this, it actually creates lots of weaknesses in this area. So, you know, how do I put it? If white protects the stone, then black can play something like this. And so now it's really cutting apart white's group here. And it's creating actually a lot of weakness for this, because this technically doesn't have 2 eyes yet. It probably will get 2 eyes, but just opening up this wound is very effective. And you can always jump back, and so you can continue the attack on these stones, and then, you know, it's very clear that you can come out and attach to these, or like make another eye somewhere here. So this opening, this wound here is very, very big. And then if white was to protect itself, then you can use the loose ladder Tetsuji. So at this point, white can't escape. White is just gonna die. It's just dead. So yeah, this was definitely difficult, but when I boil it down to the most basic fundamental, it's the lesson that you shouldn't make moves that can be cut so easily, right? I think this is a very easy thing to see, right? It's a 1, 2, 3 read, which I think everybody here should be able to at least attempt to read 3 moves ahead. And so, yeah, the main goal of this problem, obviously this was like an extremely long sequence that I wouldn't expect you to read out, right? I don't expect you to read 20 moves. But what I do want is to understand the basic fundamentals of not making moves that can be cut easily. That's what I really want you guys to learn. All right. Let us move. Joe, I'm going to ask you next. I believe.
Okay.
What do we got here? Best move. Make sure to do your reading. We're gonna go to move 20 actually, because this isn't move 20. Here we go. Okay.
Best move. All right, do your reading. And this is for black. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
So I'll show you just really quick. It's that one that we're talking about where
Yep.
white plays down, right? White used to play this, now white plays this. And so black not captures, but tries to seal on top, and now it's black's turn.
All right. I'm just trying to read out A thoroughly to rule it out, or not rule it out. Let me see.
Yeah.
Because B, I mean, just on A they cover, and then you can play C if you want. That one's not bad. C, there's no reason to stay so low when you have B. So let's just figure out A. I'm gonna say A.
Hey, okay. Let's go through.
Oh wait, sorry, I keep screwing up. It's for
black. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, sorry, it's not C. B.
Harry, I'm gonna ask you your opinion too.
Oh.
It is a tough one.
Yeah, well, reading is not my forte.
Yeah, I'll just stick with A. Because there's a point where the reading like slowly starts to trail away, but that's the part that I need to see the rest of.
Okay. All right. What do you think, Terry? A, B, or C?
Given the fact that my reading is so bad, I would probably play the chicken move of B. But I kind of wonder what happens if I play C and white plays B.
This is the reading you need to do. That's right.
Yeah. So if I play C and white plays B, and then of course I have to respond at Q8, at which point
Is this to make your way into the corner? I'm sorry to interrupt. Is this a way that black gets into the corner?
How about I'll just show you. So
yeah, please.
So A is okay, but it's not the best way. So it creates weaknesses. What are you gonna do next, Joe?
So I'd probably cut into S4.
Or here. Okay.
White
then-
would. Okay, yeah, they decide not to respond to it, so I guess I'd have to. Yeah,
Yeah,
you can't
you-
drop down.
Yeah, you can't play any of these moves because you're just gonna die, right?
Okay.
So this one doesn't work. But I thought maybe you were looking at this.
And
And
that's okay. It seals them in.
Yeah, so this seals them in, but you lose a stone doing it, right?
Yeah.
And so the question is, can we do it better, right? And so now we look at C. Now, Terry, you were right. B is the chicken move, as you called it. And so let's look at C. So what Terry you were looking at was this, right?
Right.
Now, is
Right.
this good for white or is it good for black? Yeah, I'll ask you. Came up with.
Oh, well, at this point, I guess you have to ask whether there's any point in playing S7, which it appears that there isn't. And so the push at R5 probably has to come into play at this point, because S7 doesn't go anywhere once white takes. At least I don't think it goes anywhere. I guess maybe playing at S7 helps the push to be meaningful.
I think I'm with you. I think you got to play the R5 in order to make that
Yeah.
meaningful. R5 block.
Yeah.
Double Atari. They can take the stone at S9, and then you would either take the two stones, or just do the switch because it's a double Atari. Either way, you split white.
Yeah, so essentially, when white plays this, you can
So you play
just play
C, make
here.
A work.
And if it goes like this, then you end up taking the two stones, splitting these groups, and you get Sente. So this would be very, very good for black. This would be very exceptionally good for black. So white can't play here. And that's what we have to assess, right? If it goes any other way, right? If white just protects, then we can push through, and then these stones are gonna die, and white got a capture, right? But this is more beneficial for black. Black has gotten a corner and some kills, and has a really nice influence. So this was a good example because we looked at this earlier, but you can see the follow-up for this next move is not this because there's two weaknesses. So just like with every other question, apparently there's been a theme today, is the two cutting points, right? The two weaknesses. And so we can open up these wounds. If white submits and black gets to play here, black does lose Sente, but black got a really nice seal. And so we can see that black has a lot of influence pushing everywhere. This is very good for black and just okay for white. It's fine for white. I also think that white is okay, so we could call this an even result. But as for me, if I was playing this, I'd feel better as black. But this is more of my personal preference, I guess. But this is bad because once white pushes here, white now doesn't have any weaknesses and still can come out later, right? Still can push. And then it's also white Sente, so then white can play, somewhere to try and break up this area. So playing B is incorrect. So yeah. All right. So hopefully that helped you guys and you learned something new about this Joseki here. But I'll move on to the next one. Terry, I will ask you. No, Pico, actually, I'll ask you. A, B, or C? What do you think the worst move is? What do you think the best move is?
Okay, white to play. I think the worst move is probably A, going with that theme of don't make so many cuttable shapes.
That's good instincts. I like that. I think you learned the lesson today.
For the best move, I think I would pick. I think I'd pick C, simply because it makes a nice little extension towards like that little group you have at the bottom left. Yeah, that's left.
Okay.
B also is good for like similar reasons because it like threatens to kind of break up Black's group in a way. I'm not sure I can choose between them, but I would probably pick C in this situation.
Okay, so in the game, Jory picked this one, and this is wrong, right? We can all see that it just gets cut apart. Here's the Romeo Juliet split, the Broken Knights move, whatever you want to call it, and it becomes a big problem. For the best move, B is my favorite move because it's breaking this tiger's mouth here, and it's literally making sure your whole group is very safe. Even if Black tries to split you here, Black really can't split you here. It's not going to be a problem for White. And so keeping this safe is very important. C also works, but just looking, if Black gets this tiger's mouth and White blocks, then Black gets this Atari and gets to kill these two stones. So this isn't as good. C isn't as good as B. The other thing would be this one. But once again, now we have multiple cutting points. The difference is, though, is that actually he can't take advantage anymore because of the C. So White has to play this to make it justified. But you can see that White was also pushed in. It's kind of like Black put his thumb in, like, you know, White's pie, right? It's like this was his juicy points, and then like he stuck his thumb in there, you know. So it's just not as good. So that's why I like breaking the tiger's mouth, which is a key shape that we talked about before. This was a really good lesson for Adam. And yeah, I mean, that's mainly it. But yeah, this was the worst move, which is the most important to know. And that's why I wanted to show. All right, Tay, I'm giving you this one.
Okay.
I think I think it's a softball. Let's see.
Okay.
So White Atari'd and then pushed, and now it's White's turn.
Okay, it's White's turn. Well, I think it probably makes sense to connect at C.
Okay.
I mean, B threatens to connect, except the stone at C8 can be Atari'd, so that's not really much of a connection anyway. And if White plays B, Black can cut at C, then of course Black is just two stones in White's area, but it can gain liberties. I don't see that A really does a lot of good. I mean, it does help to protect the Moya. So perhaps that Moyo is more important than two stones. And even if, yeah, you know what? I think maybe so. Okay, look, I'm switching gears and I'm going with A.
I think we've been doing this too long. I think it's everybody's brains is mush now.
Obviously, A is the wrong answer.
Yeah,
Was it C? Was it C?
Yeah. So in
Yeah,
the game,
okay.
White does play B, or A, whatever. He plays this move, and so now this cut is wide open, and With
Okay,
two
so I was
cutting,
right in the first place, and then I changed my mind.
yeah. C creates the Romeo Juliet split. And once again, as always, I will say it time and time again, creating the Broken Knights move or Romeo Juliet split is one of the best moves you can do in the game. It is so powerful. You can see that when we look at this black group, black's not even fully alive yet and is pretty surrounded by a lot of white strength. Now, is black gonna die? Probably not. But black's still gonna have to take time to live, right? Black's still gonna have to make a lot of opportunities to make two eyes. And so when white fully strengthens its wall here, this Moyo is far stronger because black has to worry so much about its group. Um, just very naturally, I would want to like I said, I take it granted of my eyes, but there's no other move in my head other than to create this Romeo Juliet split. White's just fully strong, makes this much stronger, makes black much weaker. So yeah, this is the answer. B, yeah, it's total baloney. As you can see, black just creates his own Romeo Juliet, right? So it's just fake. It's fake news. And then this move, we can see what happens. So I'll show you. One, I would cut here immediately, and I think white would have a hard time killing these stones. I think black has more than enough liberties to take out these ones. So, yeah, even if it makes an empty triangle here, black has 4 liberties and white has 3. I think it's gonna be very difficult for white to live here. Could end up like this, but even so, black would win this capturing race. So yeah. Anyway, so in the game, black played this. This move needed to be played, and it wasn't. Even for black should have played here, because even if white takes this, then black can Atari on either side. Yeah, you see. So I squeezed on this one, and then connect, and even with this, it's fine. I don't know why I made this variation, but yeah. So regardless, what happened in the game was white never played this for some reason, and so then black was just able to take it. And so you can see black was able to live very easily and take quite a lot of white's points. And then white protected the Moyo, but it's really doesn't look that good now, especially with this shape and everything. Everything looks very inefficient. It was a very bad result that could have easily been resolved if we followed the Romeo Juliet split law. All right, we're getting close to the end. I will take a look at Joe's too, but I think it's Pico's turn now. Pico, let me ask you. These ones are much harder. So the higher we go up, the harder it gets.
Oh no.
Actually, I'll be honest. I don't think you would be able to answer this. So let me ask Joe. Why this move is bad?
Why that white move at A is bad?
Yeah. And in Pico, if you want to prove me wrong and you have an idea, you feel free also to tell me.
I would think that you could just play P2, they protect, and then you could just extend with the Blackstone at 03. So I don't think that move really. Yeah, now you're just letting black live in the bottom. And if we go back, and then I'm not sure. Yeah, that just seems to be why. I would think it would make more sense to maybe drop down with white or something around the 3 stones.
Okay.
If you wanted to, you could otherwise just connect solid.
So I'll ask Terry this too then, especially since this was your game, Terry. Why do you think that I think that this formation is bad? The aftermath of this move.
Well, because black is obviously alive, and um, I guess I'm getting a little wall there that's not doing anything, and there's a black stone in the upper right.
So what this move does is dedicates you to making this wall. And this wall is not very effective right now. One, yes, black stone is here. Even if white stone is here, they believe that this is too far away. And so technically, even if it was this wall still wouldn't be as effective as it seems it is. And so dedicating yourself to this wall is not a good idea. The difference between this move is you get a choice. Later on, you can choose to play this, or you could play this, or you could Tanuki, right? And so you have many, many choices when you play this move. But when you play this, it's a dedication to making this wall. And when we look at the aftermath, this wall isn't too effective right now. Even if white makes this extension, black still has shoulder hits, separations, all sorts of things that could, effectively make this wall useless. And then later on, let's say, it went something like this or whatever, and this wall really isn't doing much. Later on, we know that this move would come into play, right? And so this is just extra points for black here, and white's just not doing much. So my point is that I really didn't like this move because it dedicates you to making a wall that isn't very useful. It's very hard to use right now. Instead, I recommend playing this and then this. It looks a little, maybe soft, right? But it leaves you options later. One, this extension is nice. Your group is much more protected because black can't just kill you here and take away your base. Two, this group isn't that effective either. Like, black doesn't really look like it's effective right now. So I like this option here. And three, like I said, if black Tanukis now, later on, if you were to, like, I don't know, get like a much larger wall or something, now you have the option to create the wall, right? So this would be much more effective. So that's it. When I saw this, I was like, this isn't ideal just because it's once again committing to something that isn't really useful right now. That's it. Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right. So let's see this one. Maybe Pico can answer this one. Why is this approach bad?
It's kind of a silly approach, in my opinion. I wouldn't do it because it doesn't get you into the corner. It's technically moving at the enclosure that white would want to make, but it's not really an effective move for black. You can't move into the corner easily. You can. Black's got that group over on the right there where you can make a base, and that's okay. But it's like if you wanted the corner, then you're not doing it right.
Yeah.
Should black be lower? Should it be at F3 instead?
Yeah, black should be lower. And in this case, in this part of the game, I'd probably actually extend black's wall here because this is black's bread and butter right now. This is like the biggest moyo. And so by extending it, it would be much more efficient. Instead, he played over here, and then Perry was able to essentially break up this area. And so this was terrible for black, right? Black spent all this time making a big moyo, and it's just gone. And so I'm pretty sure you won this game. I didn't look at the end. Did you win
Yeah,
this
I
game?
did. I can't remember by how much. I think it was about 18.
just from this decision here, like I was like, okay, yep, Terry won. Yeah. And so, yeah, normally you'd want to approach this way or take the corner by force, like the computer does. But this one, so the other reason I'll show you is even if you just played like this, Terry, you can see that this corner is humongous, right?
Right.
Normally we would see this. This is a very common Joseki, right? We would supposed to be white's turn. But yeah. So we would see this. And now we can see this is about a 15-point corner. It's pretty good. It's not bad. So you can see why the high approach is okay here. But when we are approaching a 4/4 stone, you almost never want to approach high. Because if we do the same formation, you know, I didn't count this, but I guess we can. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. It's a 20-point corner. It's at least 5 to 6 more points larger than what it would have been normally. And this is too much to give away. So, yeah, that's why this approach is bad. Last thing, I think, Joe, you're up.
Okay.
We got A, B, and C. What do you think the best move would be?
For white. I think the worst move would be C, because you look like you want to kind of just get out of there at this point. You've done what you needed, or you've started to. And I think the best move at that point, is, I don't know. I think B might be the best.
Best one. Okay. So
You play a little light, but you stop yourself from getting sort of pressed down on from above.
So funny enough, I think C is the best move. And B is the worst move.
Oh boy. All right.
So let me
Wanna
explain.
live local.
Let me explain why. So first we can look at A. So A is not the worst move, I think. It's okay. The problem is that it's still very dangerous for white, but I think you could argue that you'd be okay. Because you can definitely like push your way out.
Yeah, that bamboo joint really
but-
comes in handy.
But for black, I would say that this is also a pretty good position as well, because you are putting a lot of pressure on this group. This white group's making no points, and yeah, and that's really it. I think black's like taking some advantage by making some influence on the outside. B is bad because black can attach here. And if white tries to counterattack with something like this, technically, white can split black, but black is okay. Black is very strong with this shape here. It's not very close to the net shape. So if white protects this side, well, now this group is looking pretty scary. Pretty, as the kids say, sus. Suspect. And then if you protect this side, well, once again, you're just strengthening kind of black's group, and white's really not making any points. And technically, white could probably get away, but it might be difficult. It would be a game for sure.
Yeah, I can see how that's subpar.
And if white plays something like this, then it's just going to bash its head and most likely die. So this wouldn't be the best move. Because black can kind of push ahead of you. That's the key to this. But no, C, now you might question like, well, this isn't pushing ahead at all. How does this make any sense? But first we're using the golden rule of attachment. So essentially, if black doesn't want to get killed, black needs to answer. And once you have this dog face shape, this is a very nice shape. Now you can see white's out with like a mile ahead in the race, right? So this is using attachment to get stronger. So no, from what we saw, right, we always saw that whenever you attach to somebody, they usually counterattack or extend, which means they get stronger, right? But when they get stronger, that also gives you the opportunity to get stronger. So this is what attaching is mainly used for. Attaching isn't mainly used for killing, because if I try to attach to you, you get the next move. So I'll never be able to kill you. So physically hitting somebody isn't about killing them. It's about putting them usually in a concentrated shape, and then allowing yourself to become more defensive and stronger. So in this case, if we attach here and black answers, we've just become way stronger. You might ask if black plays this. Well, now once we play this move, you can see that white has essentially captured this black stone, and
Still has a way
also out. Yeah. And so even if black like makes some moves to live, which you could even argue that black would be able to live, right? Well, maybe actually.
Yeah, if you
Boom,
play
boom,
that
boom,
and then
boom. This gets a little messy, so like we don't have to go perfectly into it, but you can still see that white can escape very easily, and this would be awful for these stones, right? Looking now at this, and so my point is that when you play a diagonal against an iron pillar, the iron pillar shape has most of the strength, and you actually become weaker. So instead, we usually want to find ways to get stronger in the best way possible. And usually, we can attach to weaker stones, which will then allow us to become stronger. Do you guys see how this works?
yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah.
It's a very high concept, a very high level concept of like, I'm gonna attack this stone, but then I'm not really attacking it. I'm just leaning on it to escape. So that's really it. This is just another advanced level of the golden rule of attachment, is to use it to become stronger yourself. Harry, have you seen this like type of lesson before?
Actually, no, this is new to me, this that attachment.
Yeah, and this works like everywhere. Like I said, like even here, right? We attach to get stronger. We've now just become stronger, and we've gotten more of the corner. So like this is, you'll see it all over the place. It's what I call the second level of the golden rule of attachment. Usually when I'm teaching new people, people actually, Adam had like a really good one if I remember. People usually use the attachment rule wrong. Actually, it was you, Pico. Sorry. So, like white attached here, and then you just totally ignored it, right? And then you got split, or at least you should have gotten split. So when people first get attached, they like don't know what to do. So the first level of learning is about counterattacking and strengthening yourself, one or the other. If you can counterattack, you should do that first. If you can't, then you should get, strengthen yourself with an extension. And then the second level of using attachment, the higher level, the single digit Q level, is now using it as a defense, right? You're threatening to kill this stone, so black should defend itself, and then this allows you an extra move. It's like you got 2 moves for the price of 1. So yeah, those are the 2 levels of golden attachment rule. That was it for all I had planned. For you, Joe, I'll come up with something really quick, and we'll see what we got.
Okay.
Okay. Playing as black. Okay.
Yeah, I have some promise, and then it all kind of falls apart at the end.
So far, at least from what I can tell, you're doing very well. So
Yeah,
you've
I
gotten-
lost this game toward the end by like 9 points or so.
Yeah, you gotten lots of territory. White's making absolutely nothing. White's making very little here. You effectively, have a great game going so far. This is where things get a little questionable. So, you have a group.
Complete the slide, back off.
Yeah, so you should make a base, right? This is a basic
Yes.
fundamental, right? We should always make a base. But this one, suppose you get a base anyway, but it is questionable to me. Remember how I said the diagonal is bad against the iron pillar?
Yep, that's coming in. All right.
Yep. So if white was to play this and you played here, well, here you go.
I think I'd have to. Yeah, I'd have to make
You'd
sure
get
that's
it. You
it gets us into a sloppy shape.
Yeah, you get a kill, but white got all the Sente moves. So white got the full corner, and then white gets a Sente move next. So even if it doesn't lead to a direct kill, using this Iron Pillar versus Diagonal to take Sente is worth it, right?
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, so this is usually a bad shape to play. So instead, I would have just made a base and then played on.
And that doesn't even look bad. That's point taken.
It's good. This is good.
This is where things get south. I tried to wedge the stones as they were fleeing, thinking I could do something about it, and I could not. I should have just kept trying to corral that white stone
Yeah,
against all those.
This is a good lesson for attacking. So
I probably
when
should have jumped up, I think, or jumped down.
I think this is the one of the key moves. So if white tries to play away, well, now you've completely cut him, and so now he has to try and make two eyes, right? Which he can't do actually. So this whole group would just die. So he has to answer. Which, I told you the iron pillar is bad versus the wall, but in this case you have a higher brain function, right? We're trying to do something much different.
Yeah, my pillar is still pretty strong, leading up into the upper center.
Yeah, so you don't care if this one stone lives or dies. That's my point. And so well, what we do is we make noise in the east to attack in the west, or make noise in the west to attack in the east. So essentially, when we're attacking something, we don't want to directly like touch it, right? Because then that would only make it stronger. Not that you did touch it. I'm just showing you what I'm talking about. But if we can find our opponent's weaknesses and harp on them, this just gave us a bigger wall against this one, right? So that's the key or the point on making this exchange. What happened in the game? So
I tried doing a bunch of really foolish things. Yep.
Yeah. So this looks bad.
I thought the white would be nice, and it wasn't.
Yeah, because you immediately only have 2 liberties.
Yep.
So playing within here is not good because you have to guard, and then he made a great shape, right? So now he's like out, and this becomes much more harder to attack. So in this case, instead, I would play this, and even if he escapes, now I would make this exchange and then play here. And as long as you can capture this group, then all these are gonna die. Maybe you'd have to play this one first.
I think I would have to. If they go underneath, I'm in trouble.
Yeah, you could play this move, which white should answer, because if white answers this way, then I don't think this would be very sloppy. Yeah, this would be very sloppy, and you still have a ko here. So you'd have to make an exchange up top here after this 3 exchange. But by attacking this group, you can take advantage on the other side of this one. So that's a good lesson in attacking. But yeah, I can see once white lived, now this black group got separated, and now it's starting to become really scary. And I'm assuming you die. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you got to connect with your group.
I think I did. I noticed the severity and fought like hell to keep it.
You did live, but then white was able to take advantage with this, and so.
And I forget if I salvaged those, but that's not here or there.
Yeah, from what I can tell, You did salvage them. Okay. So from what I can tell, or at least what we can all learn very quickly, this is like a very as quick as possible review as I can do, is how to attack more properly. So the idea is that we want to find our opponent's weaknesses, and then we want to continuously attack them without touching them. Right? We don't want to play moves like this, because when we touch them, it allows them to get stronger, which is exactly what happened here, right? So this is like the anti-golden rule of attachment, which is not to, if you want to kill something, you don't want to touch it. You want to surround it gently in a hug. So something like this would have been nice too, because as white's trying to escape, you can corral him into your other stones here. And as long as you keep these two groups split, one of these groups is going to die, at least from what I see. Because if you let this one escape, then this one's not going to have a good time, right? Yep. And if you save this one as white, well, then this group is going to die because it's not going to be able to escape. So in this case, this is how I would have attacked it. I would have poked at this one a little, made a wedge between the two groups, and then I would have threatened this one and killed this. So your attacking definitely can level up, and we can learn. We can definitely focus on that. And then with this one, this was a nice example for white. So white was able to split you and had a really nice time splitting these groups. And as you tried to squirm with one, it weakened the other. And then once you squirmed with this one, so white did the exact problem you did. It shows that you guys are close to the same level, right? So
I had an instance where it worked in another game I played where I was able to. It basically worked as a throw-in.
Yeah.
And I was able to squeeze somebody.
There's definitely a lot of throw-in Tetsujis, but ideally you don't want to play moves like these. Not that you did, I'm just showing you that that this is wrong, this move here. So instead I would have maybe poked at it and then I would have capped it. And you can see that black has a much harder time living here, right?
Yeah, that cap looks pretty nice.
Although it does look pretty dangerous for this group, to be fair. So maybe it won't work out perfectly, but from what I see, white was able to harass this group, and then should have been able to take this. So if white just did one more move here, then white would have been able to take this. So all in all I can really say is, from what I see, you did a pretty good job, but your attacking could use some work. Reading the Attack and Defense book by James Davies is a really good source.
All right, noted.
And guys, thanks for coming to the class. Usually not everybody stays for the 2 hours, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's all good.
Thank you for the class. I might not be able to be here next week, but yeah.
You're moving,
after
right?
after that I'll be in Oregon.
Nice.
Thanks for the class. It was a good one.
All right, everyone. I'll